We're here with head coach Todd Garvey for Jacksonville State Volleyball. Coach, your team 16-1, 4-0 in ASUN play after sweeping the weekend on the road. First of all, what are your thoughts coming home after those two big wins?
It's great to get back home to the Pete and home in front of our fans and stuff. Those road trips are definitely long and exhausting, and we played a really tough match against Liberty on Saturday night. They had a really strong team, and I thought we played really good volleyball the first two sets, and then didn't really play like ourselves the third and fourth. But you got to give Liberty a lot of credit. They were playing phenomenal defense that third and fourth set. But I think it says a lot about our team that we were able to kind of regroup and respond that fifth set and go out and hit over 500 and kind of play our best when we needed to. So it was a great win to get that on the road against a good Liberty team, and it feels awesome to be back home this weekend.
Definitely. Well, diving into those matchups on the road, first we'll start with Queens. You mentioned last week it's kind of tough to gauge where they are just because you'd never played them before. How do you think the team performed against a team that was kind of just uncharted territory for them?
I thought we did really well. One of the things we've been talking about is if we get leads, keeping our focus. I think that's one thing that this team's got to continue to get better at, and we did that awesome against Queens. We had big leads every set, and we never let up. We stayed focused on every single point and what we needed to do to get that next point, and I think when we do that, we play really good defense.
And then, as you mentioned, the big 5-set win against Liberty. And yes, Jacksonville State definitely did struggle in the third and fourth sets, but what can you say about the job the team has done really in most of the matches this season that have went 5 sets on turning it on when they have to?
I think, we're at our best when our back's against the wall. When we have to perform at our highest level, I think we always have, which is awesome to see. It's just a matter of us doing that all the time, not waiting for those moments to come up before we turn it on. That's what we're trying to get to, and we're getting better and better at it all the time. But definitely something we want to see going forward is us play like that no matter what the situation is.
I know we're still very early in conference play, but how good does it feel to say that JSU is the last remaining unbeaten team in ASUN play?
It's awesome right now. It's where we want to be. We know that this conference is tougher than it's ever been. There's so many good teams, Kennesaw and Florida Gulf Coast, Lipscomb, Liberty, North Florida, and what's really making it tough this year, I feel like the top half is better than it's ever been. Like, everybody took a step forward this year, but also the bottom half has gotten better to where anybody can beat anybody on a given night. Jacksonville went into Lipscomb this past weekend and beat them on their home court. A couple weeks ago, North Florida upset Florida Gulf Coast. So there's no easy games this year, which makes for a lot of fun volleyball and some exciting times, but we got to have our guard up and we can't overlook anybody.
Talking about how there's no easy games, a couple of big tests this weekend for Jacksonville State, taking on the big rival Kennesaw State Friday night at home at the Pete, Sunday afternoon at Kennesaw. What can you say about the test that Kennesaw presents for Jacksonville State? Because you look at the RPI; these are both teams that are ranked in the top 65 in the nation.
Yeah, Kennesaw is a very, very good team. They were good last year. They really only lost one player that was a major piece of their team last year. So I feel like they're better than they were last season, and that's saying a lot because they were good last year. I think they're the second highest ranked team we've played so far this year. The only higher one is Auburn. So we know we're going to have our work cut out for us. They're a team that's going to come in and fight. They're really well coached. I know Keith really well. I've known him for a long time, and he always does a great job with them. So we know it's going to be two very challenging matches, Friday here at home and then on the road on Sunday as well. I think they're have one of the longest home winning streaks in the country at home, so we know it's going to be a really challenging weekend, and kind of looking forward to seeing what we can do.
Well, the squad got it done last weekend against a scrappy Queens team, a very talented Liberty squad. What will JSU have to do this weekend to remain undefeated in ASUN play?
I think for us, it's all about our defense. We've been working on defense really hard the past couple of years, and I feel like this year we've taken the biggest step forward that we ever have. Right now we're ranked 11th in opponent hitting percentage in the country, which is awesome. I think us having so many veteran players and people that come back with experience has helped because they're processing the scouting report. We have a really detailed scouting report for every match, and I think that they've really done a great job of taking what's on that and putting it into action, kind of trying to take the other team's strengths away and kind of hopefully exploit their weaknesses, and we've done a really good job with that. And then I think Aaron Carmichael and Brooklyn Shifley, two of our DSs, have taken a big step forward from last year as well, which is also another reason we're playing great defense. But for us to go out and get 2 wins against Kennesaw, I think we're going to have to play great defensively, and for us that starts with being super focused on every point on what we need to do to win that point.
And then finally, one more question about this weekend. Back at the Pete after a long road trip, how good does that feel to have, the home fans back and kind of backing your squad as they take on a big conference opponent?
It's nice. We definitely have had some great crowds this year. We're hoping to get a big crowd out this weekend, kind of playing a rival and somebody that's one of the best teams in the conference and one of the best teams in the country. I think it's going to be an exciting weekend, so we hope the crowd gets out and supports us.
Another one about Claire Ochs, the player that's joining us on the Player Spotlight. This is a player that you coached against when she was at SEMO. What a job she's done this year at JSU. How do you feel about the effort, the performance that she's given for the Gamecocks?
She's done a great job. You know, to me, like you said earlier, the setter on the team is basically kind of like the quarterback of the team. So I always want somebody in that position that's going to be very vocal, got a high volleyball IQ, that's a good leader. She's done a great job with all that this season, and I think that she kind of knows who to set when, and depending upon the other team's rotation and our rotations, kind of knows what gives us the best mismatch, and kind of has been going to that, and she's done an awesome job for us.
And then any final thoughts before we head into this weekend's doubleheader against Kennesaw State?
We're just looking forward to it. I think it's going to be two of the biggest tests we've had this weekend, playing them back-to-back matches. Last season, I think we went 2-0 against them, but both games went 5, so I wouldn't expect anything different. I think it's going to be a war. It's going to be back and forth, and it's going to be a tough match on Friday and another tough one on Sunday.
We're here with graduate transfer Claire Ochs of Jacksonville State's volleyball squad. Claire, you're the setter for the team. You've already spoken with us in a player spotlight this year, and we're already in conference play, 16-1, 4-0 in conference play. What are your thoughts about the season so far?
I think the whole team's really excited, and we've been working well together up until this point. So I think just improving on what we already have going on and getting better every day is going to be a big goal for us. So I think we're all just excited at where we're at.
Well, talking about last weekend, long road trip, but 2 big wins, knocked off Queens in Charlotte and then Liberty up in Lynchburg. For you and for the team, you know, how hard is it on those road trips, and how do you guys really stay focused and stay determined?
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you're on the bus for long hours and, you know, your back starts hurting and all that kind of stuff. But I think just being focused on the scouting report each week and really getting dialed into each opponent when you're on the road and having a good practice when you have the opportunity to play in their gym and just get used to your environment is what really helps us excel against the teams on the road.
Well, talking about this weekend, Jacksonville State finally back at home, taking on Kennesaw State on Friday at the Pete. How good is it having, you know, the home crowd behind you and, like you said, not having to travel and ride those long bus rides?
Yeah, it's super nice being at home, especially with the crowds that we have been able to get, and it's awesome. And you definitely have a home court advantage, and having those people, you know, cheering for you and, you know, hoping that you win definitely, you know, gets you more excited out there and helps you out. So I think we're all excited to be back home.
Well, talking about your performance last weekend, had incredible outputs with assists. I think you had 50 at Liberty or something crazy like that. What can you attribute that success that you've had this season?
Yeah, it's really awesome having hitters that can put balls away, and especially when they're in tough situations too. Out of system, we're putting balls away. So, I mean, obviously it's the passers and the hitters. I'm just like the middleman, so my stats rely on a lot of other people doing well too. And I think just having hitters that are being efficient at, you know, the outside, the middle, and the right side have made us huge like targets and weapons against other teams. So I think that's what's really made us good.
Now, continuing to talk about your position, Coach Garvey last night at the radio show, he said that, you know, the setter is kind of like the quarterback for a volleyball team. Do you agree with that, or how do you view the setter?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I think, you know, there's a lot more thought process that goes on with the setter position that I think some people realize. So it's a lot of like playing chess up there with like who you have blocking and, you know, who you want to have open in terms of what plays you're running. So I think, you know, calling those plays is definitely you're like the quarterback right out there. So.
Well, you know, continuing to talk about you personally, what a career you've had. First of all, 2021 OVC Setter of the Year last season. You're closing in on 5,000 career assists between SEMO and JSU. Do you keep an eye on that at all, or are you just focused on the next match?
I think I definitely stay more focused on the team goals and how we're doing as a team and not necessarily my individual goals. I know my stats, but I'm not focused on those individual goals as much as I am the team goals, for sure.
Well, talking about team goals, again, JSU, a doubleheader with KSU this weekend, Friday at home, Sunday at Kennesaw State. What are you looking forward to? What are the team's goals heading into this weekend?
Yeah, I think our main goal is just going in and showing the conference that we can go in and sweep the weekend against the same team. I think that's hard playing a team back to back, but I think we definitely have the capability of going in and beating Kennesaw both games, and I think we just have to stay focused. And I think our main goal this week is just learning from this past weekend and getting better, and that's all we can really do.
And finally, any final thoughts before we head into those matches this weekend, first at the Pete and then in Kennesaw?
Final thoughts is that I just hope we go out there and win. That's it.